Pat and eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock.
Why?
Because they're not needed.
What time is it?
You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords. This is Bob Ferguson. I was a part of the French 75.
Bitch, I felt like Tony Montana!
Steve Lockjaw just attacked my home. And I cannot remember, for the life of my only child, the answer to your question.
Maybe you should have studied the rebellion text a little harder.
I need to find my daughter.
Well, then call us back when you have the time.
You just...
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the Dooms to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Here we go again.
Greetings and welcome to the Anadrome. This is Burn Power coming to you straight from seeing Paul Thomas Anderson's new film, One Battle After Another. And at first I was saying, no, I don't think I should do a review of this. And then the more I thought about it, the more I said, yeah, I probably need to, even though there will be people who don't like what I have to say. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and several other people, Benicio del Toro. There's a whole phalanx of people. I'm not going to discuss the plot so much as I am going to discuss the characterizations and what this film means being dropped in September of 2025. Now, basically, if I read my end credits correctly, this was based, I would say, loosely on Thomas Pynchon's Vineland, which is probably the only way you could adapt such a film. Such a book, because it's a sprawling novel. I have not read it. I'm not going to pretend to, although I can guess what some of the aspects of the book are from watching this film. I'm guessing that the revolutionary activity at the beginning of the film, which includes lots of bloodshed, explosions, mayhem, relates to gangs like the Symbionese Liberation Army and the Weather Underground and other radical groups from that period who did employ explosive devices and did cause the loss of life. Then there's a jump in time into the present. Leonardo DiCaprio kind of goes through the whole thing. It's a 16-year jump in time. And he doesn't particularly age, like 16 years worth of age. But then again, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, so we keep him as is. He's got grayer hair, looks a bit more disheveled, certainly a lot higher and out of his mind. But here's the thing. If this film was released in the 1990s, my perspective on it would be radically different than it is right now. And the reason for that is it connects this revolutionary activity at the beginning, which is very clearly stated so, with what seems to me like contemporary issues at the southern border of the United States of America and Mexico. And it uses that as a basis for this revolutionary activity. Now, if the film had gone on to point out just how troubling this was, I probably wouldn't have too much of a problem with it. But then again, like I say, the film, I think the book has this in mind. I would be willing to bet that. But this is 2025. To suggest this sort of activity today, when there are literally shots being fired at the border, is extremely irresponsible. Now, it's a movie. Granted, it was planned 2-3 years ago, and finally it's coming to light. Although, 2-3 years ago, I am sure that the people who wrote this film and directed it, Paul Thomas Anderson in particular, were thinking of the political situation in the last, shall we say, 7-8 years. And so they were, this group at the beginning, the French 75 they're called. Why French? I don't know. But that's probably Thomas Pynchon, who's a rather mysterious author. But what he's doing is he's suggesting something about today. And like I say, this is extraordinarily irresponsible. And this is the thing that kept striking me as I was riding home from the bus, on the bus. The film goes on, and Leonardo DiCaprio turns in a pretty good performance. Benicio del Toro does his usual good job. The young lady does quite a good job. She is has a good screen presence. There are things like renegade Catholic nuns growing weed and teaching revolutionary weapons training. But here's the thing. The border police and army are basically tarred with the blackest brush you can find. Even though the revolutionary people are killing people and blowing up buildings. Whenever Sean Penn is on the screen, and he plays a captain in the beginning and eventually a corporal, and he is contacted by evidently the people who really run the country, which in this case were basically neo-Nazis who were in a secret esoteric mode, who believed in the purity of the blood and such. And I believe, if memory serves correctly, but I'm not going to look it up right now, but I believe that was part of Thomas Pynchon's actual novel. Like I say, if this had come out in the late 90s, interesting, especially in the light of the Oklahoma bombing and other such things. But coming out today, well, here's the interesting thing. So there's a quote-unquote sanctuary city where there's all these illegal migrants who are living in fear of being deported. And I can understand the pain of that. I can also understand that, hey, they are illegal migrants. It's no secret our government has long not wanted illegal migrants. They wanted legal ones. And they're now mixing this up with the renewed activities of the French 75. It's much more complicated than this. And I will say this, the last third of the picture, which involves a chase scene and going through the deserts of the Southwest and doing some photography, I thought was just absolutely amazing, was great. That part, I mean, if you just want a chase scene and a burglary, if you're the kind of person who just go see this as a movie and say, wow, that had some good exciting moments and, some good acting here and there, you're going to like this film. If you're a Paul Thomas Anderson film fan, I think you're going to say, well, it's not quite his best. Truthfully, I've never been a huge aficionado of his work. From Boogie Nights to There Will Be Blood, Magnolia, I've seen, I think, pretty much everything. And while other people really love his work, to me it's a bit, let's just say this. He doesn't drink my milkshake. If you're a fan of his, you'll know what I'm saying. I just, it's like, no, it just strikes me as always having a little bit too much of a point of some sort that I find not thought out. Emotionally intense, but not thought out. And a bit too postmodern for my liking. That's just me. And there are dogs outside. Should I open the window and let's hear them more? No. Well, then there's the last part of the film. Oh, I was saying about Sean Penn's character. Literally, whenever he's on the screen, I just want to throw eggs and Rotten Tomatoes at it. Because he's painting such a gargoyle of this American captain. And essentially, this film is doing what these kinds of films always do. The government, the authorities, are authoritarian Nazis or whatever, and the rebels are the good guys. And so at the end, literally the girl who is the product of the young product who is now 16 years old is encouraged by her father, I'll leave the question blank about what that means, to go out and take part in the news stuff, whatever's happening in Oakland or Berkeley or whatever. And this just, when I hit that point, I just said, hold on a second. There's been no confronting the fact that what these revolutionaries did was frankly evil. America was not the place they said it was. It was not. And here's the thing. So if I take myself back to when I was young, late 60s, early 70s, and there was a lot of this kind of activity, I say to myself, okay, that would have been a good thing to take it forward to. But the latest you could do that is say about 1975, and if you go 16 years in front of that, you're in about 1991. Perfect time for this film. But you have to kind of say that it all seems like now. Even the part that was 16 years ago seems like now in some weird sort of way. So, but even if we take it at, go back, so this would be about, 2009, 2010? There were no revolutionaries going around through America then causing this kind of mayhem. So they've had to put it, that's why they put it at the border, to say, oh, these people were really fighting for freedom and such. And I'm sitting there going like, you can't fight for freedom and kill people. This is the revolutionary delusion. You just can't do it. So, good acting, some amazing action pieces. Who is this film for? Unfortunately, it is for people who will put this next to today's events and say, see, we told you. But the film is being totally dishonest because it isn't about today's events. It is more about what happened in the 1970s, early 70s, late 60s. And it doesn't, again, it's the postmodern interpretation. And while I found, like I say, there are some scenes of car chase at the end that just blew my mind. As far as photography, cinematography goes, wow. And the whole last third of the picture, which all involves trying to get away from these military people, is great. Like I say, if this film had come out in the 90s, I wouldn't be worried about it the way I am right now. But unfortunately, given the political climate of 2025, this is about the most irresponsible film I could think of making. So, that's where I'm going to leave it. If you're concerned about the political climate, you might want to watch it. If you're trying to escape the effects of the political climate, definitely don't. Even though it does have some comic moments and does have, like I say, some very good cinematography, but still. And, if you're a Paul Thomas Anderson enthusiast, you're going to go see it. But no, I'm just not there. So, take it for what it is. I don't really care if you agree with me. This is the movie I saw. And I think a lot of people are going to see it somewhat like I've seen it, although they may not have all the 70s background and such. Okay, so I just wanted to get this out. I'm not editing it much at all. I'm just going to slap it out, put a few photos on it, because I just wanted to get this out there, and I see it really hasn't been covered a whole lot yet. And I'm in Tbilisi, Georgia, which is much earlier than most people, so maybe someone will watch it. From Tbilisi, Georgia, somewhere in the Caucasus Mountains, this is Burn Power saying, Droibit, which is the Georgian word meaning, we will get together again soon.
When I go, I want you to give me 5 minutes. I told you boys I'm no escape artist. For the first time, I like the odds.
At the round earth's imagined corners, blow your trumpets, angels, and arise, arise from death, you numberless infinities of souls.
World War III out there!
Not one thing, it's another. Find that to be true.
I need you, brother. Sensei, please.
Courage, Bob. Courage.
That's it. Courage. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. God damn it! Viva la revolution!